more attention to the international newspapers. Diptyque Laurent has been looking through them for us and picked out some of the more interesting articles. Diptyque, you're going to start with the Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan, who's on his first foreign trip.
That's right. The former cricket star, now Pakistan's leader, he headed to Saudi Arabia for his first visit, meeting with the Crown Prince there. Both men pledging to defeat terrorism, among other things. That's what the Pakistani Daily Dawn says on its front page. Both countries are standing by each other. The Nation, which is another Pakistani daily, that's what it says, talking about this visit aiming to boost economic, cultural and political ties. As the editor of the paper, though, notes, there are, quote, whispers on the street that the main goal of this visit was to snag some money from Saudi Arabia to help boost Pakistan's economy. But at the same time, show Pakistan's loyalty to the kingdom. This as India also develops its relationship with Saudi Arabia.
So how are the Saudi papers reacting to the visit?
Well, they're calling it a royal Saudi welcome. That's what Arab News says on its front page. The editor-in-chief of the paper there urges us to give Imran time to show he can, a play on words, that he can indeed make good on some of his electoral promises, notably of change, of reform, and of fighting corruption. All the more important given how important Saudi Arabia's relationship with Pakistan is mutually for economic and political stability and security in the region. Khan has actually already left Saudi Arabia for the Emirates. Specifically, he's in Abu Dhabi, which also has rolled out the red carpet for him, according to the Khalij Times. And we found a piece from Al Arab, that's a pan-Arab paper, saying that Imran Khan is actually hoping to use the two countries' experiences in striking a balance with their own diplomatic relationships with the US and China, this at a time when Pakistan is vulnerable and needs both the US and China.
Well, speaking of China, there's a famous actress has been missing for 2 months now in pretty mysterious circumstances.
Her name is Fan Bingbing. She's China's most famous actress. She's an international star, and she hasn't been seen for 2 months. Nobody knows where she is. All we know is that before her disappearance, she became embroiled in a public tax scandal, basically being accused of underreporting her income, which she denied. Many fear she's actually been disappeared by the Communist Party for that reason. Curiously, companies and brands have distanced themselves from the bankable star. Even her own fiancé deleted photos or mentions of her on his social media page. Many believe she had also just become too famous and too influential for the Communist Party. She had legions of fans and she was very outspoken. I guess a case of entertainment becoming too dangerous for Chinese politics.
Gosh, a curious one there. Now, there's also a Me Too related scandal brewing amidst the magazine New York Review of Books. Tell us more.
Well, the New York Review of Books, that's a bi-weekly magazine discussing literature, culture, and the likes. Its editor-in-chief, Ian Buruma, left his job after just 16 months there due to an editorial choice to publish an essay by a disgraced Canadian radio DJ, Jian Ghomeshi, who you see on the front page on this article from Vox. He'd been accused of multiple allegations of sexual assault. And in his essay that was published by the New York Review of Books, he talks about how his life changed after those allegations, talking about even his suicidal thoughts. Critics say his essay was more self-pity than reflective or remorseful, and that Buruma shouldn't have published the article or given this guy a platform on which to, quote, publish his bad apology. In this Me Too era, it raises questions about editorial choices. Do these men have a right to have their views aired? Buruma, who's Dutch, that's the editor of the New York Review of Books, former editor, he's actually accorded an interview to a Dutch magazine called Vrede Nederland. Buruma says he wasn't fired, but forced to resign. He said he didn't regret the publishing decision, but deplores the fact that in exploring the issue of Me Too offenders being tried on social media, he himself became publicly pilloried.
Okay, well, finally, Diptyque, let's move on quickly to get it in. And there's a seafood chef in the US state of Maine that's come up with a creative way to ensure her sea creatures don't suffer.
Well, creative, controversial as well. Her name is Charlotte Gill. She owns a lobster pound in Maine. She happens to be a licensed medical marijuana practitioner. So combining her two skills together, she started hotboxing her lobsters before boiling them alive, i.e. blowing marijuana smoke into their boxes, getting them stoned, and then boiling them alive. She says it relaxes them. Worth noting that Switzerland put a ban on boiling lobsters alive earlier this year because the research shows that they do suffer. They actually suggested that chefs gouge the lobsters in their eyes or electrocute them first. So in that case, I guess getting high sounds a lot less painful.
I wish people could have seen Stephen and my facial reactions to that story, Diptyka.
There's no good way out of
To die.
Yeah, exactly. Diptyka Laurent, thanks a lot for that wrap-up of the international papers. Time for us to take a quick